right. Yes, indeed. We'll have to do a vote sometime this week, or maybe Friday. That would be kind of fun to see about the Bad Attitude of the Week award. And we are going to be producing something for the store for the Bad Attitude of the Week that you can pick up. I think that'll be a lot of fun for the Liberty Conspiracy store. Well, let's check out what we're talking about here. What in particular are we discussing? Well, Hegseth's freak out. Le freak c'est chic. After crushing the enemy with ultimate lethality, he needs more. You got it. He needs more cash. Of course he does. So let's get right into it, everybody, and hear from some of the people who got to witness this wonderful spectacle of charm, as if he doesn't have enough testosterone running through his system. He was on Capitol Hill, and he was on the ropes.
Another $87 billion, while Democrats had a chance to grill him at a Senate hearing.
Wait a minute. He wants another $87 billion for something that they said they've already succeeded at. I don't understand. What's going on?
$1.5 trillion.
Stop bombing our children in Iran and Palestine. This is illegal.
Mr. Secretary, please.
Historic military victory over Iran.
Had Iran's military been rendered, quote, combat ineffective for years to come? That was a statement that you made 4 months ago.
They had 160 naval vessels
in the
Blue Water Navy, and they're gone. Their Air Force is completely combat ineffective, and they don't have a defense industrial base. So describe to me a country that doesn't have an Air Force, a Navy, or a defense industrial base, and I will describe to you a country that does not have an effective military. It can lob missiles.
Mr. Secretary, you stated 4 months ago that Iran's military had been rendered, quote, combat ineffective for years to come. Has Iran's military been, for the last 4 months, combat ineffective?
It's been set back not just years, but likely decades.
You will not answer whether your statement made on the 14th day of the war that Iran's military had been, quote, destroyed and made combat ineffective was a truthful statement to the American people as you sit here and ask for tens of billions more for the
Senator's time has
a historic and
pausing it right there. So let's just keep in mind, and maybe you had the same thoughts. When I was a kid, I remember seeing stuff on television, the old dinosaur networks, and it was a little abstract to me. There were these stuffy, officious people in their suits arguing in front of these panels with the microphones clicking on and off, and they would be arguing with each other. And I thought, wow, this looks like it could be historic. Maybe this is sort of memorable, sort of stuff like, the Watergate hearings and stuff like that. This is that level. This is that level of historic malfeasance in the history of this so-called nation state that supposedly has a set of rules. That guy's a criminal. He's already clearly an admitted war criminal. That guy right there. And the fact that they didn't arrest him shows that the Congress doesn't understand just how bad this situation is.
Active military campaign against the largest state sponsor of terrorism.
Won't answer the question.
Senator Peters
He won't answer the question. He won't answer the question, and he will continue to do his, I'll keep speaking, la, 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 until perhaps your time runs out. At least that guy got in the point.
You, sir, are the failure, not the men and women who are on that front line, not the men and women who hold up their honor with distinction.
No, they don't hold up that honor with distinction, because if they did, they wouldn't go there. If they were deeply understanding of ethics, they wouldn't accept a job off of somebody else's back. But they've been indoctrinated into thinking that they should take commands regardless of the fact that they don't understand that the commands don't comport with the U.S. Constitution. And deeper than that, even if they did comport with the U.S. Constitution, hopefully they might feel an ethical tear at earning a living, so-called, off of somebody else's back, because the state is involuntary. But beyond my anarchist point, at least we can mention the Constitution. Those people swear an oath to the Constitution. It's obvious there's no declared war, and it's obvious that zero American military member should be acting on any command that supports this activity.
But if there's a lack of a winning strategy, they're in harm's way. Their leaders have failed them. And that's what's happening.
You won't show any political courage to actually fund our department because you have Trump derangement syndrome and can't actually commit to anything meaningful. So I put this on you, Senator.
And on the latest,
can you believe that? What he has utterly no answers for any of that stuff at all. Just incredible, because you've got Trump derangement syndrome. I'm wagging my finger at you. So let's talk about Trump. Let's remember what we discussed yesterday and the day before. Portrait of a psychopath, a sociopath. After initially offering "these things happen" when questioned Sunday regarding news of more U.S. military personnel getting killed in his unconstitutional aggression against Iran, Trump initially shrugged it off, offering that kind of flip attitude. Now, Monday, he switches to the good old boogeyman of the gotta stop Iran from getting nukes, which he claimed last year he had done, despite Iran not pursuing nuclear weapons in the first place. It's all about your so-called safety and your so-called protection, which, of course, they will define for you because they're mafiosos, which, of course, are big levers for them to do that and then take your money and fund mass slaughter. So let's not forget Donald Trump on the 19th.
Well, we feel very badly, but, you know, those great people, those great patriots were out there fighting that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Iran has been very, very badly damaged. They've lost everything almost militarily. They've got very little effort.
Do you feel like a prosecuting attorney when you see some of this stuff? Do you feel like, I wish I didn't have to go to this courtroom? And now we've got this. Trump continues to deny reality, but in his denial, logical people can detect an admission about fuel prices and who controls what. Here we go. Americans are firmly against this war, a reporter says to him.
Well, Americans aren't against the war. A poll just came out. Americans don't want high gasoline prices, but they're not against the war. That just came out loud and clear in a poll. Nobody wants Iran to have a nuclear weapon. You want Iran to have a nuclear weapon?
So there you go. That's his excuse for admitting that he actually isn't in control of the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the Ansar Allah Yemenis have closed off the Red Sea to American, Israeli, and Saudi shipments. Great job there, Donald. So, of course, there's a much bigger thing at stake here. It's the invisible, as they would say in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, giant mutant star goat. It's the great green handkerchief. Yeah, that's right. All the stories that they made up for people to get them off of a planet, to get rid of a useless third of their population. Oh, I heard the planet was going to be eaten by a giant mutant star goat. That's why I got aboard the ship. There you go. Donald Trump told me. Oh, and by the way, we've got a little something coming from Bongino in a little while. Bongino a go-go. I don't know if you got to see Bongino a go going crazy, but let's get into Section 219 of the NDAA. Here's what things will be like, only worse, in the U.S. when the U.S. and Israeli firms unite on the ground in the United States. Okay, so if you get the chance to see it, the story is out, of course. It has been revealed, and we'll give you the information. It has passed. But let me give you this, because this is what it's going to look like on the ground. This is on the ground in England. Remember, there are British and Israeli companies that work together on the ground in England. And here is Declassified UK at an arms show. Remember last year they had an arms show in London at the Expo Center? Well, this was out in the countryside at Farnborough International Air Show. And here, Declassified UK tells us Israel's largest arms firms angrily refused to answer questions from independent media at an arms fair in England on Monday. They had been invited to the Farnborough International Air Show despite being required by French authorities to cover their stands in black drapes at the Paris Air Show last year. One company at Farnborough, Israel Aerospace Industries, IAI even threatened to report journalists to police for asking questions about its role in the Gaza genocide. This is what the NDAA will incorporate in your state because it's going to pass.
You want to report me to the police because I'm a journalist? Do you understand in this country we have a free press? So something quite crazy just happened. A guy from Israeli Aerospace Industries followed us down the road, demanding to see our passes to show we're journalists, and so he's going to report us to the police. Absolutely unbelievable. I'm at the Farnborough Air Show in the English countryside, where people are enjoying the sunshine and watching pilots perform tricks. But behind me, inside those hangars, arms firms are doing deals, and this year, controversially, they've invited to the table 3 of Israel's largest arms companies, despite the genocide in Gaza. This is the first time since that conflict began that Declassified has been granted press access to an arms fair like this. And we want to go and talk to those companies and see why they've been allowed in. I'm Phil Miller, I'm a journalist. Is it possible to speak to your CEO today, Martin Fawcett?
He's not here.
He's not here today.
I'm afraid we haven't
Okay.
got any availability.
Okay. Just we spoke to some fathers of British military veterans, and their sons were killed in Gaza by an Elbit drone. You know, it looks like you've been displaying that on the screen today.
There's nothing we can do that is going to make you satisfied. So we're not going to get any.
But is it not a bit insensitive to be displaying drones that have been used to kill British military veterans? Are you disputing that an Elbit drone killed British military veterans in Gaza? The Hermes 350 drone. You're denying that it killed British military veterans in Gaza. You're not going to apologise to their families?
I have no comment to say.
Nothing to say at all?
Nothing to say, sir. Sorry, no.
And how many children in Gaza have Elbit drones killed?
I don't need to ask you a question, sir. Please move on.
I've just spotted another Israeli state-owned arms company here at Farnborough Air Show. It's called IAI, Israeli Aerospace Industries. They're a major player in the Israeli arms industry. I'm going to go and see if they'll let me look around their chalet.
Can I help you?
Yeah, hi, I'm a journalist. Is it possible to have a look around?
No.
No? No press allowed? Or
IAI's security then began taking photos of our camera crew, even though they were clearly identified as media.
You just said you wanted my name so you can report to the police. You just said that. So now you're lying as well. Do you understand in this country we have a free press? Journalists are allowed to ask companies questions.
Classic, huh? Classic. And curiously enough, now with the new definition of anti-Semitism, once they plant those industries into your state, then of course you got it. You can be accused of anti-Semitism if you protest them. Here is what's going on with the NDAA. Thomas Massey's got the word. Final vote total for the NDAA today, which tragically merges our military technology and supply chains with Israel's. And it will merge the corporations and the funding from the taxpayers. And it will plunk it down in your states. Have fun. Let's hope this version fails in the Senate because Section 219 is a betrayal of our sovereignty. Well, you can bet it won't fail in the Senate, unfortunately, Thomas. So there you go. 7 nays on the Republican side and 205 nays on the Democrat side. So the final vote was 216 to 212. We'll get the names probably very soon. If anybody's got that, feel free to drop it down into the comments. If you can get the names of the people, I wasn't able to get that today. So we'll find out more as it goes along. That'll be great to see. Thanks, everybody. Well, we've got even more to discuss. We've got a lot of opinions from a lot of folks about this, and I'd like to get your opinions as well. So feel free to drop those opinions into Rumble. We'll check those out in a moment. And I also want to mention that while we do this, I do want to give you some fair warning because I've got some dark stories here about what those nefarious Israelis have been doing, and a follow-up to the Manab school bombings by the United States. In fact, we're going to go with that right now. We open with a terrible continuation of U.S. war crimes and their legacy. This coverage from Press TV is gut-wrenching. Manab buries 62 pieces of 32 children massacred on February 28th. Yeah, more than 62 body fragments belonging to 32 students martyred in a U.S. airstrike on an Iranian elementary school have been identified through DNA testing and buried nearly 5 months after the attack that killed 168 people, most of them children. The remains, recovered during weeks of search operations at the Sajare Terebe School in Manab and surrounding areas, were carried through the streets of Hormuzgan province in a funeral procession. Yeah. Yep. Now, the head of the region's judiciary said that despite multiple specialized search operations at the school and its environs, no trace has been found of 7-year-old Makan Nasiri, a first grader who remains the only victim whose body or pieces of which have never been recovered. I don't have any kids on my own, but that is just bad. And last night, U.S. aggressors are reported to have hit 11 Iranian cities. Meanwhile, Marco Rubio continues to turn to 11 his lies. So we had 11 cities hit by the United States, and Marco turned his lies, maybe later, thank you, turned his lies up to 11. Here's Marco.
I just want to reiterate once again, the United States is always committed to diplomacy. We are open-minded and always willing to engage in negotiated settlements of differences, and that remains true in the case of Iran. Unfortunately, as of now, despite their direct outreaches, and Iran has been reaching out to the United States, both directly and indirectly, to engage in talks about settling the differences with regards to what's happening in that part of the world. Unfortunately, so far, even though we have reached agreements, they have not kept their commitments. I just want to reiterate once again, the United States is always committed to—
I don't think so. I don't think so, buddy. As I mentioned, Rubio literally was talking to Israel and the Lebanese puppet leadership to breach the MOU while the president and Iranian negotiators were signing the MOU. You can see Glenn Dyson here. He says, this is incredible. The U.S. abandoned the JCPOA, twice launched surprise attacks during negotiations, and then breached the MOU as soon as it was signed. That's right. And, of course, they encouraged Israel to breach the MOU by engaging in Rubio's direct negotiations, which, again, as we mentioned last night, is allowing Israel to sit inside Lebanon south of the Litani River. It's just incredible. They think they can get away with this nonsense. Now, Joe Kent, I think, says it well. He says, this is a bombing campaign without a strategy. We are choosing escalation. We, the government, the U.S. government is choosing escalation when de-escalation remains an option. It's the only option. Entrenching ourselves deeper into a broader war that we don't have the capability or desire to sustain. There is not a military solution here that will lead to a win. It's like yelling at a wall. This is ridiculous. More bombing will not convince Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz or to give us the deal we want. It only will harden their position further. Bombing civilian infrastructure will not make the people rise up against the regime. It will rally them around it. When this effort inevitably fails to give us the win, the next militarily logical and incredibly ill-advised step is for the U.S. to apply more pressure by seizing Iranian ground. They're even talking about holding Iranian hostages. Make no mistake, boots on the ground would be a disaster scenario, and the Iranians could take American hostages. Look at Iran on a map. Consider the terrain and what accessing it and then holding it would actually entail. Escalation will only lead to more American casualties until public opposition forces a negotiated deal with Iran or forces us to simply leave and accept Iran as it is, just like we did with Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and Vietnam. And there's more. He says, if we pull out our troops now, we deprive Iran of their justification for aggression in the Strait of Hormuz, and that's not aggression, it's defense, and of targets to shoot at. We can then use sanctions/relief, unfreezing of assets as an incentive for Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz. Now, on a philosophical level, all state actions are aggressive, so that is a very good point, but I don't think that's what he meant. And of course, Trump disregards the reality that, and we often don't focus on polls, and that's what we showed you a little bit earlier. The reporter said Americans are firmly against this war, and he deflects. Now, anti-war reports on Trump's big new threats, and we've got more on the threats below regarding Trump threatening to destroy one bridge or power plant in Iran for every ship targeted in the Strait of Hormuz. He's openly, directly, again, saying, I intend to commit war crimes. And so you'll see Trump on his Truth Social posts is saying that they're going to bomb more bridges. Well, as anti-war notes, the U.S. bombed at least 3 bridges in Iran this last week, and Trump has repeatedly threatened massive strikes across the country to destroy power plants, bridges, and desalinization plants. The president has also been threatening to bomb Pickaxe Mountain, known as Kolan Coup in Iran, after over alleged nuclear activity, which Iran denied on Wednesday. Now, as I mentioned yesterday, this Pickaxe Mountain point that people like Hegseth said, we have great capabilities to do what we want to do. Trump is going to go after it. As I mentioned, Trump claimed that they might hit Pickaxe Mountain, even though he also admitted that he wasn't sure if the Iranians had moved their nuclear material there. Well, that, of course, coming after last year when he and Vance and Rubio claimed that they had permanently destroyed Iran's so-called nuclear program, falsely implying a nuclear weapons program. So, can the U.S. hit the purported stocks that the U.S. purportedly buried last year and now they say have been moved magically? No, of course they can't. It's like I said yesterday. The Iranians are well aware of the capacity of the United States to go into and try to hit things with their so-called bunker busters. So the next step is to try to use a tactical nuke. That's a bad idea, right?
Guys, we need straight answers. We need straight answers. Do we have the ability to destroy whatever is underneath Pickaxe Mountain?
Senator, a lot of our capabilities are classified, but if anybody in the world can reach anything on God's green earth, it's the United States military. Okay, so what Senator Kennedy was doing there was not being skeptical. He was handing him a softball the same way Rubio handed Victoria Nuland a softball a couple of years ago when he asked her about chemical and biological plants, and she actually told the truth, and he was surprised by that. So they had to come up with a quick narrative to say, oh, well, so that would mean that if chemical or biological weapons are used, it's the Russians using them. Wait, what? Didn't you just say that there were American biological chemical weapons plants in Ukraine? The most powerful military in the world. It's all about options and trade-offs.
Why does he have to always add that in? The greatest, most powerful military in the world, and then all this other stuff on his head. But first of all, let's just, aside from that nuttiness, is there any truth to what he says? Do we have classified ways to get underneath Pickaxe Mountain?
No, that's simple. No,
exactly.
We don't. We can maybe create a lot of rubble on top of the mountain. But this facility has been specifically designed, and this is based on Alistair Crook's been there. He's seen it, and they've got a variety of insulation, rubber, shock absorbing pads and different things. So they recognize that there's going to be an explosion, there will be a blast wave, there will be, but this facility's been designed to anticipate that. So, but then that makes it, the United States is now once again the only country to go nuclear, to launch a nuclear weapon. The implications of that would be profound, because I think that China and Russia are no longer willing to give us the benefit of the doubt, and they'll see that as an escalation that would force them to have to consider their own nuclear options.
It's just, I don't know if it goes through your mind, like, what the heck? How did these people get involved with this insane stuff? just absolutely crazy. Oh my goodness. It's just so stupid. So, okay, we've got all that covered. And hopefully there's some important stuff that we can pull away from that regarding logistics and tactics and things like that. Let me just go over a couple of the logistic and tactical victories here. Iran achieved 2 key tactical victories on their side when hitting a target in Kuwait, in fact, multiple. They destroyed a key U.S. detection site that will greatly erode American ability to see and respond to Iranian missiles and drones in the region. And that's something that Larry Johnson actually brought up in that conversation with Daniel Davis. And if you're just listening in audio, that was from the Daniel Davis deep dive from his YouTube channel, to give him credit. The Jordanian hit that we saw yesterday, actually day before, that saw American service people killed. Part of the reason why they didn't have proper warning for that was because of the Iranians smartly on their side taking out United States early warning systems with their radar. So all this money, it's not only has it been gone to waste, it has pulled people in to pay them salaries to get involved with the military, then had them unquestioningly go there, and now they're human sacrifices. It's a very, very dark game, appropriate for Apocalypto, that movie from Mel Gibson. They destroyed a key U.S. detection site that will greatly erode American ability to see and respond to Iranian missiles and drones in the region. And Iran also exposed how integrated the U.S. is in Kuwait and other places, countering Kuwaiti claims of innocence. The Iranians also hit a desalinization plant in Kuwait. So here we are. This is huge. Satellite images show the destruction of AN/FPS 11-7, long-range early warning radar at Ahmad al-Jabar Air Base in Kuwait. So there it is. And more hits, it appears. The hits keep coming, Casey Kasem. Here's your American Top 40 long-distance dedication, this time in the Kurdish region of Iraq. Yep, Mario Nawfal. Iran is releasing the satellite images that, of course, the United States initially tried to deny, backing up their claims of strikes on major U.S. facilities in the Gulf. Tehran shared before and after images of Erbil International Airport in Iraq's Kurdistan region. That would be the airport that the United States helped build. They claim the structure they obliterated was a facility housing an aerostat used for continuous intel. That's why the Americans helped build the airport, surveillance, and reconnaissance missions. No confirmation from the U.S. yet, but the images appear to back up the claims that Iran is hitting U.S. facilities hard. Yep, absolutely. You don't have to go on an FTX and explore the area to know, because it's all been on record for a long time. As Alex Jones would say, it's on record. It's on record. It's on black vinyl. It's on special import vinyl, on record. And yes, U.S. base in Jordan goes to sleep, says DD Politics. The U.S. has evacuated King Faisal Air Base in Jordan following Iranian strikes. Yep. Yeah, that's right. And yes, Trump claims that for every ship the Iranians hit in the Strait, he will hit a portion of civilian infrastructure. So let's go to this and just check this out. Yeah, Trump says, from this point forward, anytime the Islamic Republic of Iran shoots at a ship at the Strait of Hormuz, whether it be by missile, rocket, or drone, how about pea shooter or any other device or weapon, pea shooters included, the United States will bomb and destroy one bridge or power plant until we run out of bombs, which is going to be soon, including those located next to or in the capital city of Tehran. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Signed, President Donald Trump, War Crime Supremo. Oh, yes, here it is, Kobisi letter. President Trump says the U.S. will bomb and destroy one bridge or power plant for every time Iran shoots at a ship in the Strait of Hormuz from this point forward. And as I noted, this MOU, his MOU, the promises he made with the MOU meant zilch, as the monkeys would say. He continues to commit war crimes. He continues to crush living standards for millions around the world. That is faux show. And it's not looking good. So let's give you further information on this. This is Professor Pape Out in the Midwest, President Trump's threat to destroy civilian infrastructure like bridges and power plants is a textbook example of failed coercion. History shows this failed in Vietnam. It sure did. That is right. It will not force Iran into submission. Escalation becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So it's not going to be looking good, everybody. You let me know what you think. I don't want to be too much into prognostication, but it's not looking good.